why is word of mouth so much more effective? Well, it turns out there are two key reasons that word of mouth is so much more effective. The first is sort of intuitive. What's a reason that word of mouth might be more effective than advertising? Trust, I heard someone say, right? We trust our peers more than we trust ads. Why? Somebody we know, right? We trust somebody we know, but we also know that ads are trying to convince us, right? Every shampoo ad you've ever seen is basically the same. There's a woman with long, flowy hair, and she gets an attractive spouse. You've never seen a shampoo ad where someone uses the shampoo and gets an ugly spouse. Never happened, right? The person always gets an attractive spouse. If there's an ad for a restaurant, people always enjoy the food. If there's an ad for a hotel, the beds are always comfortable. There's no ad that says, hey, yeah, customer service, we're not so good at customer service. Actually, we're sort of the 90th out of 100. Here are the 89 of our competitors that are better. If they're busy, no, come to us. Every ad, every organization says their product or service is good. When you're talking about your course, of course you say, my course is the best. This ebook is wonderful. You'll learn a lot of information. Right? If you go to someone's website and they have testimonials, no one has testimonials up on their website that says, yeah, this course wasn't so good, actually. You should save your money and go somewhere else. No, everyone says, this is the best course I ever took. But because of that, the consumer that reads those things on your website doesn't know whether to believe them or not. They don't know whether to trust that information. But their friends, their peers, their social ties, they'll tell it to them straight. They'll say, hey, I read this ebook and it was really useful. It helped me in my business. Or, hey, I read this and it wasn't so useful. So we can trust our peers, and that's the first benefit of word of mouth, is trust. The second is a little more nuanced. And that's the targeting benefit of word of mouth. What if we could find exactly the right person who might like what we have to offer? We might not know who that person is, but I bet you their friends do. Because friends tend to know people really, really well. A few years ago, I got a free book in the mail. Came to my office at the Wharton School, came to me at the office, and it said, hey, free book. And professors often get free books. Publishers send them to us with the hopes that we'll assign them to our students, and they'll sell more copies in the process. But this time, they didn't just send me one book. They sent me 2 copies of the same book. So I'm sitting there in my office going, okay, these books look exactly the same. Why the second copy? And there was a note in the back of one that said, hey, Professor Berger, we think you'll like this book, but we think you'll also know someone else who will like this book. Pass the second copy on to them. And that's the first very simple hack I'm going to share with you this afternoon. How, by turning customers into advocates, can we get them to do the work for us? Because I didn't pass that book along randomly. I passed it on to the person in my social network that I thought would find that book most interesting or relevant or valuable. No wonder that referred business, people that come in from existing business, have about 20% higher customer lifetime value. Because someone went through their social network almost like a searchlight to find their peer that might be most interested in that topic. If you don't have a kid, no one's going to tell you about a great website for baby clothes. If you don't like spicy food, no one's going to tell you about a great restaurant that has spicy food. They pass information on to you based on your interests. Well, good news. If you can use your customers, they'll do the exact same to you. They'll go through their network saying, hey, who do I know that would like this information? And guess what? People tend to be friends with other people like them. If you like football, you tend to know other people that like football. If you like romantic comedies, you tend to know other people that like romantic comedies. People tend to be friends with other people like them. In sociology, this is called homophily. But what that means is if someone took your course, someone read your book, and they liked it, they probably know 1, 2, 5, 10, 15 other people that would like it as well. If you can turn them into advocates, they'll do the work for you. So let's start talking about social currency. And to talk about social currency, I want to use an example from New York City. How many of you have ever been to New York City? Okay, some of you. For the rest of you, imagine that you're visiting New York City this upcoming weekend. You're walking around the Lower East Side, your stomach is rumbling, you've got to get a bite to eat. You've done all the touristy things, you visited the Empire State Building, you walked across the Golden Gate Bridge. Now it's time to get a bite to eat. and you notice a big hot dog-shaped sign, sausage-shaped sign out in front of a restaurant with the words "Eat Me" written on it in what look like mustard. So you decide, I haven't had a hot dog in a while. I'll check this place out. So you walk down a flight of stairs into a restaurant called Criff Dogs. Now, if you like hot dogs, you will be in heaven. Criff Dogs has every hot dog you can imagine. They have a good morning hot dog with bacon, eggs, and cheese. I don't know about eating hot dogs for breakfast, but interesting nonetheless. They have a hot dog with green onion and pineapple, and they have a traditional New York-style water dog with just ketchup and mustard. So you're sitting there, you're munching on your hot dog, when you notice something unusual in the corner of the room. It almost looks like a phone booth, like one of those things that Clark Kent might jump into to change into Superman. So just for fun, you have a couple minutes, slide open that door, and walk inside. It's pretty cramped in there. It's a phone booth after all. But on the wall, you'll see something you probably haven't seen in 20 to 25 years. Do you remember rotary dial phones? Remember those phones you had to stick your finger in and you had to go around in a circle? My grandmother had one at her house, for example. Well, on the inside of that phone booth is a rotary dial phone. Pick up the receiver, hold it to your ear, put your finger in, say, the number 2, go around in a circle, and listen to what happens. Well, the phone will actually ring. It'll go ring, ring. Then someone will pick up the line, and they'll ask you whether you have a reservation. Now, the first time I heard this story, I was a little bit like you. I had a quizzical look on my face. I said, reservation? I'm in a phone booth inside of a hot dog restaurant. What could I possibly have a reservation for? But if you're lucky, and you made a reservation, or a friend made a reservation, or they happen to have space, the back of that phone booth will open, and you'll be led into a secret bar called Please Don't Tell. Now, Please Don't Tell has violated a number of traditional laws of marketing. No sign on the street, no sign inside the restaurant. They've done everything they can to make themselves difficult to find. And yet, every day they're full. By 3 p.m., phone lines open up. By 3:30, all the seats are gone. People frantically hit redial again and again and again, trying to get through. And it's not lack of competition. Just like you, there's lots of competition around there. You may not have been to New York recently, but it turns out there's more than one bar in New York City. There's a couple bars on that side of the block, a couple bars on the other side of the block, dozens of bars in a couple block radius. Lots of competition for what they're having to offer. So how did they cut through the clutter? How did they get attention for what they were offering? Well, they did something interesting. They made themselves a secret. And let me tell you a little secret about secrets. Think about the last time someone told you something, and they told you not to tell anybody else. What's the first thing you then did with that information? You told someone, right? Because having access to information that not everyone else knows makes you look smart and makes you look in the know. It gives you what I'll call social currency. Just like the car we drive and just like the clothes we wear, the things we talk about and the things we share affect how other people see us.